my community. I've moved to, I mean, only New York, but further up New York. And for me, the new clientele that I work with, um, with the various different new, like I have a lot of clients who were transgender, who didn't identify non-binary. So a lot of that, as far as like that teaching aspect, that learning aspect, has been important. So I did like that um, about what he was saying about the learning and growing and changing. But that's life. If you don't learn, if you stop learning, you're dead.
Okay,
Or
Ray
stuck in
has
your
joined,
ways, or you
and
could just be stuck in your ways.
yeah, Ray has joined and Sajid has joined. So, how you would like to go about it? How is your experience reading the book so far? Mr. Ray, Mr. Sajid, who would like to go first amongst you two? Mr. Sajid, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, go ahead.
Yes. Uh, what we got, rethinking is better than thinking. We must be in dynamic mode and keep rethinking. Uh, we should not be certain to certain things, and what is right at a moment can be wrong at another other moment. So if we are remain in dynamic and skeptic mode, we may not be victim to things, and we can improve, we can grow if we have skeptic mind, and if we are dynamic, if we can rethink that what was better at a time may not be better at another time.
So, what was the takeaway for you? Like, what was the main takeaway for you? What are the main ideas that like kind of inspired you, or you learned something new in this one?
Scientist mind is always active.
All right.
uh, they don't believe in things. They put they judge everything on the basis of facts. They don't believe in divine messages when they are skeptic. So they reach some conclusion. They can discard things and they can approve things. For normal persons, we take things like preacher. Therefore, uh, we may be wrong at some point, and mostly we are wrong because we take things for granted and we don't rethink matters.
Right. Okay. Before I go, I would say, Ray, go ahead.
So, you know, I am a I've been in leadership for a very long time in various aspects of my life, military, school, as an entrepreneur, it's different things. And um the book, I mean, first of all, the author, he's well known. He's well known in this field. He's highly respected. Um, um, but as an applicant in theory, everything he's saying is absolutely correct. However, in practice, it's way more difficult. In a real world scenario, it's way more difficult because as I came in, I think when Yasmin was speaking, um, when people have their mortgages to pay, and even in chapter 4, chapter 3, I believe, he talked about, the hippo leader, or a lot of people who get into leadership positions, they are the preacher, they are the prosecutor, right? They are the politician. And so the problem with rethinking, which I absolutely agree. As an instructional designer, I'll tell you, you have to rethink. The problem with being vocal about your rethinking is that it's going to be hard for you to rally around people to rally behind you because you're constantly changing positions. And people and society, if you know, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have taken sociology classes. People like people who are firm in their positions. Interesting enough, I don't want to get Bridget started, but Candace Owens is getting criticized a lot lately because people think she's shifting her position. I don't think she's shifting position. I don't think people understand her position. But it's just interesting where she's being criticized for shifting her position. We don't like people who shift their positions. We have a problem with that. We consider that non-committal. Why is that? Because our brains are pattern-seeking devices. We enjoy patterns. We want to say, that's a conservative. That's a baseball player. That's this, and that is that. And our brains have problems with,
We like our labels. We like
we
putting
love our
people in
labels
and we love putting
because
people in boxes.
we love to
And when
put
they
people
try
in
to come
boxes.
out of those boxes, they're like,
Right. And
okay.
So again, you want to get out of the box. That means you have to rethink to get out of the box. However, people are going to prosecute you for getting out of the box. I see that as a Black male. I experienced this yesterday. I went somewhere and someone says, "Man, you're you're in education, right? You're in education." And he was just and it was another Black guy. He's like, you're in education? Really?
Why was he so
Like
surprised?
what am I supposed to be, like a
What the
basketball
skin
player,
color is
football
going to be, the
player,
obstruction,
in the
what kind of an
military?
obstruction the skin
So
color is going to be for the education.
and so, when a lot of times when we don't fit someone's label, it becomes problematic for us. The term, I always challenge people on this. What's the term? Is the perception of reality, is perception reality, or is reality perception, right? And a lot of people will say perception is not reality, but I believe perception is very much reality, because someone else's perception of you will alter your reality. And that's where you have to be the politician. So even if you're a rethinker, you have to be the politician. You have to find that happy medium, because if you just sit on your loins and rethink, it's gonna be very challenging for you, because that's not how we work when we get into groups. Again, individually rethink, but I would say you have to strategize how you're going to present your rethinking to get people on your team, right? Because without that, your rethinking means nothing. That's one of the reasons why the school systems in any particular country, I'm not gonna mention a country, don't function well, because we have our set minds, we have a way we think it should look, and either you do it that way, right? Regardless of what the literature says, this is the way you do it. And if you don't do it, you're an enemy of me, and I'm going to alter your career. I've seen that in schools. I've
They
seen that
take
as
it personal.
an educator. I've seen that in the military, right? You'll have a battalion commander, a company commander. If you don't do it his way, your career is over with. So you have to find a way to be a politician, and maybe he talks about that later in later chapters, but I think that's the only critical analysis I have so far of this book, is that it works individually, it doesn't work when amongst groups of people, especially groups of people who are ambitious. especially groups of people who are ambitious.
So when you say like if it's groups of people, what if I'm an individual working with groups of people? They don't know that I'm shifting and thinking again. If they don't know me and know how I am individually, I may have to work with some new groups of people, right? But they don't know I'm shifting and thinking again. So like you're saying, it's gonna work for me individually.
Yeah, it'll work for you
But
individually.
you saying like in a group,
And ultimately, here's what I'm gonna say. Ultimately, you have to put yourself where you're your boss. You're your own boss. This is why I like to be a consultant. Because as a consultant, I'm not an employee. Either you take my advice and I can come in with a different power than as an employee. As an employee, this is what you're going to do. I really don't care. This is the
right?
company
This is what
policy.
I
But
want. Yeah.
as a consultant, I can say, hey, pay me. I consulted, pay me, and I move about my day. The problem with that, most people don't like the insecurity of being a consultant. People love that being paid every 2 weeks or being paid monthly. They love that security. Being a consultant is not very secure. So that's the challenge, right? So ultimately, to be a rethinker also requires you to be your own boss because
And that's
somebody's going to make you try to basically be submissive,
yeah.
you know, to their point of view.
And that is a whole new process that going from knowing how much you're supposed to make every 2 weeks or every week to if I don't hustle, I don't eat, or if I don't make this amount, I don't have, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, this book right in my lane right now. I like it.
I
Come up
mean,
with some more stuff.
you guys ever see the show Bar Rescue? You ever watch that
Yeah, I
show?
like that
I think
show. I
some,
like that guy, Irvine guy. I like
yeah.
him.
So he's effective, right? Because he doesn't really have a stake in it. He comes in and say, "You do it my way, do it some highway," right? And he tries to get them. That's what he tries to do, just get them to rethink. But he can come in with power, right? He can come in. He's even gonna. I guess he even gives money to upgrade things and stuff. So, but he's coming in
If
from a
they do it
position.
his way.
If you do it his way, which is problematic in itself, right? Right. So because suppose somebody wants to
Dictatorial
rethink
mind.
his way.
Yeah,
So
dictatorial.
that's where it gets a little muddy, where where the salt water combines with the fresh water.
All right. I'll share my view about it. I mean, I was very much thrilled to read this book. It's like kind of he has named different kind of processes and different kind of scientists. He has named different. So I was like very much thrilled, and some of the things were related to my when I was criticizing myself when I was like probably 16 or 18, somewhere around that. So every time I was doing my testing my own beliefs, whatever I grew up with or I was born with, or my beliefs and the systems and the things around me, and even which I inherited, like I was a different kind of a thinking person or behavioral kind. So it was like a right away start from the beginning. It was almost like an enjoyment for me. So I'm like very much thrilled, and I enjoyed every bit of it. And there are new things I'm learning and also understanding from that perspective. I used to talk about and like what you don't know, how you can know about it. So even as like from my early childhood perspective, from our fourth caliph, he said there are three kind of knowledgeable people. That one who knows, but he doesn't know that he knows it, and the one who doesn't know, but he believes that he knows everything. And the third kind is that who knows what he knows and he knows what he doesn't know. So it was a very kind of informative, thrilling, and right into my heart. So I enjoyed this reading, all those kind of things. So for me, every bit of pieces and like even it, when he was describing it as graphically, I was even going to the next level. And as Ray pointed out, this is just like when you are talking about open-mindedness, when you are talking about open-minded way of thinking, you cannot talk to everyone. Everyone is not of that level. They will start criticizing you that you are going beyond the limits and this is the system we live in. So when you are talking, you can talk to certain selected group of people who can like bind with you or can understand to that level of open-minded thinking. Only then you can talk about it. Otherwise, they will start criticizing. And as you said, probably in a in an administrative position, when you are holding a point of view and you change your view on the basis of the data that you get, so people won't like they would not understand why you're changing. So even it's negating your own self, whatever you theorized, whatever you practiced all your life. Maybe let's say you are 50, you're 60. So whatever you practiced all your years, and then you came up something with something new, and that is so, I mean, influential or it's so clear for you that you say, okay, whatever happened, I need to change my views for the next because this is the new revelation for me. So this new revelation, I am going to bind with this one. This is how people change with their religions, ideas, or whatever the kind of set of thoughts. So for me, briefly, this is what I understand, and I like the book in this way. I was thanking Yasmin that thank you for bringing this special genre. Like we didn't read this kind of thing, so it's like very like critical thinking, and in terms of like criticizing yourself and being a critique of your own thinking, evaluating yourself, whatever you did in the whole day, whole life, past year, so you can become a better person. And I really kind of think that anybody who points out my mistakes, I'm very much thrilled with that person because for my mind, it tells me this is your friend who is telling you that this is the kind of thing that you have the wrong thing. So that
But
really goes into it.
unfortunately, most people don't operate that way.
Yeah,
Most
most
people,
people that I
when you
understand
do
that.
that, you create an enemy, you
Yeah,
create tension and friction. You know,
yeah.
you know,
We were talking about that in our Bible study lesson today. Like everybody can't critique you,
no.
and
Every,
like, and you may ask for a critique, like, because in the book he talks about arrogance leads us blind to our own weaknesses, and that you should ask someone that you love and trust to help point out those weaknesses to you, because you can't hear everything from everybody, especially if it's something negative. You really need to be able to trust that person and know that they're going to ask you, like, okay, I'm asking you in trust and in love to tell me what is something that I'm doing wrong. What areas do you see that I don't see that needs to be changed or that could be done
That,
differently?
that's what you call the deep friendship, that you
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially
but
share those kind of thoughts with your deep friends only
well, I no, well,
because
I
you're not.
disagree. I
are
disagree.
you
I,
expect,
I disagree.
or is that a setup to get the kind of answer?
Yeah.
Bridget, you're
Khadija, you
going
got
in
So
and
yeah,
out.
so I disagree with that, and I think Bridget hits it on the head with her question because sometimes most of us just want confirmation. We call it confirmation bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
ask certain people because we know they're going to confirm us, right?
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
also called that desirability bias, right? So we got to be careful with this, and this is why self-reflection is important. Number one, the best person to talk to is yourself, and to have an honest conversation with yourself. But that requires a certain level of intellectual capacity. I
Mm-hmm.
would say that for each person is a little bit different. Sometimes you go to the person that you love and trust, and sometimes you could talk to a complete stranger. Some people
Because
need
it
to
also
talk to a
talks
complete
about,
stranger
having confident humility, so
Mhm.
you can be humble and, you
because
know,
some people you can't go to your spouse with certain things.
yeah.
Right? You think, this is this person I'm married. No, some people,
No,
because that's not the
your spouse is
relationship.
not to be.
That's
It
not the
could be
relationship you have
especially,
with your
yeah,
spouse.
yeah,
Or
especially in a down the line in a relationship, in a spouse relationship. Probably
and it depends on the
he.
type, because everyone doesn't have the same type of relationship with their
Yep.
Mhm.
spouse,
Yep.
right? So, it's that women from what was it? Women from Venus, men are from Mars. Isn't that
Men
the
from
whole
Mm-hmm.
Mars,
basis of that book? That's the whole basis of
men
that
from
book.
Yeah, I
Mars
don't
and
know.
yeah.
I just never got that period when people would say my spouse is my best friend, and because I never had that, so I couldn't understand how people like how could a person, husband or wife, be their best friend? Like, how does that work? But it's possible, like you say,
It is
It's
possible, but it
possible, but
is
it's
rare.
not
it
Yeah, it
everybody.
wasn't
is possible,
possible
but
with
it's
me.
not as
So
a.
for a long time, I didn't even. I used to be like people say that. Oh yeah, we best friends. That be like they just lying. They ain't really best friends. But that's how I really used to think.
Yeah.
But I had to rethink that thing. It's
I mean,
possible.
some
Yeah, I
people
mean,
are.
like it
Look,
doesn't.
and then you have some people who are straight up narcissists, right?
Yeah,
So we got to have mental affect also plays a role in this. If you're a narcissist, you know, that's another aspect of it, and I think that's why therapy works for some people. Therapy doesn't work for everyone, but some people therapy works, and other people it doesn't. Um, so it's it's one of those things where it's so customized because our neural networks, our brains are customized to our experiences. You see, it's customized to our experiences, and it makes it very, very complicated, right? It's very complicated, the human brain, because your brain is your brain. It's based on the experiences that you have had that no one else in the world has had. And it
that's
really
what makes
works
you
for
unique. Yeah,
Yep. Your
so
truth
when you're
is not
talking about,
everybody else's truth.
it's like this word pride, right? I struggle with this word pride. And what I've come up with, and I'm sure I'm going to rethink this also, but where I stand on this word pride is a word that should be used externally. Like I'm proud of my children, or I'm proud of my spouse, or I'm proud of someone else. I don't think you should say you should be proud of yourself. Because why? Because pride is uh that means once you get to that level, can you now activate self-reflection?
I think you
Yeah,
can be
you could be
proud of
prideful and
yourself,
still
but
and
don't
still
be
you.
conceited or arrogant with
Right, you
it.
could still practice
Because
humility and pride. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I
yes,
think you can practice humility and pride. I
because
think
I'm
you
yeah,
sure
can.
there. Well, look,
in a
when you
kind
got your
of like
doctor's
a balance.
degree,
Yeah,
weren't you proud of your achievements?
Mm,
Yes, you
I,
were. You
I
were
don't
proud of
know.
your
Look,
Because
achievements.
they were
no,
goals.
But did you
and
go around? But the
so
thing
let
is,
me,
did you
no,
go
let
around
me,
saying everybody needs to call me Dr. Ray? No, my name is
no,
Dr. Ray. I'm Dr. Ray. I'm Dr. Ray. That's that's the difference of taking pride to a conceited level. Sure, you should feel good
I
about
know,
yourself and your
no,
achievements.
I'm being serious. I debate with this whole doctor thing because I really don't. For me, it doesn't really have any value.
But
And
it has value
I have
to
gone on
people.
record.
But
I have gone on record about this.
Are you saying it has no monetary value or no intellectual mental value? Because it definitely has mental value because you stretched yourself to grow and to gain more knowledge. So
it
it
has
does have
value.
value.
It has
Does it have
value
monetary?
amongst.
It may not have
You
monetary
know what I have
value.
learned. You know what I've learned with my doctorate degree, that I don't know anything at all.
Yeah.
I was more
You could
prideful. I
be
was more
Dr. Ray,
prideful
just
with my
don't be
master's than I was
conceited.
my doctorate. I really feel like an idiot now with a doctorate degree. I really feel like I don't know anything. I really do. So I
That's
don't,
part of the book.
But
and
see,
that's
and that's what
why
this book says is a good thing that you recognize that you don't know everything. So you're willing to learn and grow even more to
Right.
expand yourself.
yeah. This is what when
Miss
you're
Tamara has
learning.
her hand raised. Jump on
Yeah, that's
in,
what I was
Tamara.
going to say. Tamara is having raised her hand.
I mean, I definitely understand what you're coming from, where you're coming from, Ray, because of the more I learn, the more you learn, the more you're like, dag, I really didn't know anything. So, like for me, from coming out of high school, going to college, struggling with college, and I'm like, for me, I was a star in high school. I was the smart girl. Everybody came to me, except for math. Math was a struggle for me. But I tutored, I was a peer counselor. So it was like, going to college, I felt like, okay, I'm going to be that same person in college. And when I went to college working on my bachelor's degree, I was slapped in my face quite often because I'm like, okay, I thought I was Miss Smarty Pants and I'm really not. So I had to struggle to kind of have that humility to say, okay, maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. And also, and then for me, coming from everyone knows, so my relationship with my sister, most people think my husband is my mother. So those expectations of when you come from that parent who's done great things. My sister's well known throughout various different communities. So coming with those expectations of you're supposed to be great is hard. So as a student, I had to learn that humility. So I get what you're saying, but and then of course, going on getting your master's degree and all that other stuff. And it is my goal to get my doctorate. I just want somebody else to pay for it. But um, I think, like Yasmin's been saying and Bridget's been saying, it's that you can be proud of yourself and say, I did that. I was up nights working on those papers, working, doing that research, doing this, doing that. I am proud of myself, but not be arrogant about it, because then that's when I think that's
That's
when the arrogance make you not appreciate all of the hard work that you put in. But yeah, you definitely should be proud of yourself that you've done this. But I think for us as a people, some other things that, you guys have been saying, I think for us as humans, as women, I can only speak of the women experience because that's what I am. But we're often taught that you for women we're often taught that you maybe shouldn't be proud of your achievements. um you shouldn't be you shouldn't be
Yeah.
more
Shouldn't be boastful. We should
you
be
shouldn't be boastful
demure.
of your achievements. And a lot
Mm.
of times that comes in with culture, it comes in with religion, it comes in with different or faith. It comes in with, you know, your race or ethnicity. It's all of those things that makes us us sometimes can make us not a good person. Like you
yeah.
guys all know, I'm a therapist, and I do agree with you. Therapy does not work for everyone. I've said that to quite a number of people. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I think that the way you look at learning and the growing, like he was saying in a book, it's like you kind of have to kind of say, be that lifetime learner. Because as we know, as we're growing, as the world is changing, certain things, you know, what we thought we knew as technology is moving on, we're like, oh, I really didn't know that. Even as simple things as I grew up that Pluto was always a planet. Now all of a sudden, Pluto is no longer a planet.
And then
No,
we
it
only
is a
What?
have
planet.
five
No,
continents.
Pluto
Okay,
is a
we got
planet.
7 continents now.
Listen,
What
no,
are you right?
listen.
It's like, what do you
Pluto is a
mean?
planet.
All
Pluto
these
is a
years?
planet.
And there's
I have
only
a
five
T-shirt.
continents.
Oh,
Pluto
Exactly.
is a
All of these
planet.
years, it's so science and
Okay,
the development, it changes.
Pluto is a
It's
planet.
a-
because it was my baby first, huh?
right? So you're standing 10 toes down and Pluto's a planet. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
love
that's what
that.
they think,
But
as
see,
we're
now that
growing,
we're
as we're
thinking is saying
changing,
it's a
as
microplanet.
there's a microplanet, and you're like, what the hell is that? Even with teachers, my best
Dwarf,
friend's a teacher.
dwarf
My best
planet.
friend's a teacher in New Jersey, and how the changes that with the math and I'm like, what do you mean you guys changed math and math is different now? Math
Or
has
new
always
math,
been math. So
science of
as we're
reading.
evolving, right, as we're changing and we're growing, we can't be so stuck in our ways, especially those who have children, you know. It's like we can't be so stuck in our ways, because now how do we become how do we become teachers for our children? We all know that the mother is the first teacher, or maybe sometimes maybe even the father, the first teacher of the children. So how do we change? How do we have to change and learn in order to help, or in order to not only help ourselves but help our children? So
I,
you guys are making me possibly see this book in a different light. So I am going to go back because I definitely was struggling with it. But I'm in the process of getting a new job, and I've been chasing after this person, well, and trying to get fingerprints and a whole bunch of stuff. So my focus on the book has lessened, but now I'm starting to say, maybe I need to go back and reread this because
And maybe
it's
you get
not
some
what I thought it was.
fingerprints.
Look, don't feel guilty about not reading it because there's some books that the club has
yeah,
read,
I
and I'm
mean,
like,
it
I'm sorry, I
depends.
can't.
For me, I wanted to absorb every kind of sentence out of it. So I read maybe
I'm
4 or 5 times
enjoying
each paragraph, each one, and tried to understand it, to enjoy. And I didn't want to leave any kind of concept. So I said, even if I would leave it, when is the time going to come that I would read it again? So it's the best time to read it. So
I mean,
anyway,
to me, this is
I
like
wish I could show you my book.
this is an instructional designer book. This is an HPT book, Human Performance
yeah.
Technology book. Um, because I think he's coming from that SME perspective. I don't think he's coming from the everyday user perspective, pedestrian user perspective. He's coming from like an SME perspective.
Yeah, like he's trying to talk about the evolution of thoughts, that whenever you are, whatever you the concept or kind of any kind of product as an entrepreneur, whatever the kind of thought, if you just stick to it and you don't question your own previous thoughts. So you remember that he made a kind of a chicken thing, that with the 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, then you repeat this one, and then what you read, then you
And
repeat.
for
And
4, 5 repeat.
So the other reason why it's a little problematic for the
Mhm.
pedestrian user is
Yeah,
because
it's
if you
not for
don't
them.
have access to the information, right?
No, no,
And
it's not for
you
them
only get
actually.
if you're only getting access from one source or one type of information, then it's hard to do rethinking.
Yeah, it would
If
be.
you're living in if you are we most of us are highly educated. We understand reliable sources. We know we should vary our sources. We know the difference between open source references and publications and journals. But the average person doesn't know, right? They'll go off a TikTok video, right? And
And
that's
start
their
their believing.
reality,
And Fox
right?
Yeah, and and
News.
So,
and and also abnorm would become a norm.
right. So, is then, what are you rethinking? Are you rethinking based on your social media? Well, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So this book is for people who are dead who have access to reliable information and can go through that process, right? A lot of times people don't have the time to go through that process. They don't have time to go. That process is lengthy. Now he talked about people who do predictions for elections. Well, that's what they commit themselves to every day. That's what they get
Well,
paid to do.
that's
People don't have
yeah.
8 hours a day, 10 hours a day to go through that process. So I would love for him, and maybe we should write him and say, or maybe he already has a book because I get.
I mean, the forecast, a professional forecaster, I need to get into that. That's what is that, like fortune telling or what? Well, how do
It's
I get?
basically fortune telling. It's
That's
basically
just
fortune
it's
telling.
just an opinion thing, right?
Yeah,
That's a whole
is it
job.
But
right?
he's talking about that. He's talking
Forecast.
about that. Based your opinions based on the real
Based on
reality and the
data. He
On
data.
said
data.
based on
Data.
data.
So
Yeah,
rather
based on
than
data.
To
just
do
go
that.
opinionate about something just because of your gut or something like your heart feeling. Yes, dear, go ahead, Khadija.
But some of them, by their admission, that was doing the forecast, and they really didn't know. They was like, "Oh well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong."
I mean, you saw the
You know.
octopus was doing the forecast for the World Cup. So what kind of thinking process would have been doing that? This is just like a kind of thing. It can happen that your forecast could be good, but if you don't have the data to support and you just came out to be on the winner's side, that doesn't mean that your process of thinking or rethinking was right enough or good enough.
Forecasters get paid to even be on the losing side.
Right.
Yeah, could be.
Right. I
They
mean,
Yeah.
don't. They seem to
I,
not
I wanted to
want to
I
get paid.
wanted to ask a question, especially since we are 3 males and 4 females here. So I had the idea before, and maybe Ray would have known, or all you guys would know, maybe probably. Is It's said that what I learned or what I read about it before a long time ago, that men think spatially, like they think about when you talk about when I want to go to your home, they would say this is like north, east, and something. So they make the space thing in their mind. But when it's about the women, they take as the milestone. You go from there, you see this kind of a tree or a door or a milestone there, turn right, go left. So this is the kind of the way how the men think and how the women think. This is my understanding of it. So I would like you to share upon this one. You got my question?
Basically, what you're saying,
Bridget,
do
you're
men
on
think
mute.
differently from women?
Yeah, I mean, like they think
Absolutely.
like, yeah, think in a
Agree.
spatial way that like a graph paper on the ground. So you when you want to go in the, especially in the directions and especially, so they would go with the, even they would not know where to go, they would not take the milestones, or like if you are going to your friend's house or somebody, like even you're trekking in a jungle or somewhere in the desert. So you would keep it in your mind like as a spatial thing that how many kilometers I need to go eastwards, westwards, north, south, and then you reach to that point without the help of a milestone. But when women, they think about, okay, this tree was here, this door was here, turn from this street, and those like those landmarks, they would guide them to do the things. So, how
I
do you
think
remember
that can
your friend?
be, I think that can be more, I don't want to say cultural, but I think that I do agree with you that sometimes men can think more spatial, and when especially when they're giving directions, but also too, and this definitely is stereotypical, but women will get lost and they will ask for directions, whereas stereotypically most men will get lost and they won't ask for anything. They'll just
Let's
keep
say
going
if
around and around and around in a circle.
let's say if you
Um,
want to guide someone to your previous house, so how you would guide him or her?
so that I think that women, at least for me, I'm more of a, I guess, a landmark type of girl. I don't know if that's
Okay.
something the way I was raised or if that's become cultural. Like for me, where I live, you can get easily lost coming here. So because I live in a complex and all of the houses look the same, and because I live behind where the like GPS will take you, um, I always say, oh, park between this place and that place. Look for this. If you don't pass this, that means you're in the wrong place. So I guess, yeah, I never thought about it like that's how I give
Okay.
directions. But yeah, I
All right.
guess that's an interesting question. I don't know.
All right. Okay. Let's listen to Dr. Mahasan first before going to Yasmin and Khadija.
Oh, okay, thanks. I think that women not think. I mean, we know that there is some research and data that says that women we think based on relationships, right? We look at things that have connections. So, for example, Tamara, in your case, you're giving directions to your house, and you might say, make a right at the clubhouse, right? A male might say, make a right at Third Street. We wouldn't even look for Third Street. We would look for that clubhouse because that's the connection. You mentioned something about, landmarks. We are really good at that. Like we usually remember
Mhm.
things, in terms of landmarks, which is good. I think that
Yep.
we tend to, well, where men are more spatial, we tend to be more relational in our thinking, right? So that becomes, for us, that becomes logical to us,
Okay. So you're confirming that
confirming that
it's like
it's
a
like a
landmark thing
landmark
works
thing
for you.
works for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
listen
Let's listen
to
to
Yasmin.
Yasmin.
I also
I
think
also
it's
think it's
a
a
maybe a regional thing as well because I grew up in the country. And before the 911 system came into place, a lot of streets and roads did not have road signs. So you wouldn't say go to this road or go to Fifth Street and take a right. We would say you're gonna go to Sandra's trailer house, and when you get to that corner, you're gonna take the right
All
At
because
the
there
bend
wasn't
in the
a
tree.
street sign there. And so that's how I
right.
just
All
grew
right.
up
Okay.
giving directions
Okay.
because there were not
All
roads or
right.
street signs or
I understand. All right.
whatever.
So let's listen to Khadija.
I was just saying, yeah, that is true in the country. They be like the third oak tree, the bend across the railroad track, just just like things.
More
Okay.
elaborative.
I don't
And
know.
like my town's so small, we don't even have a stoplight. There's not even a caution
Okay.
light.
Oh,
You just
God.
Understand. Understand. Okay, Ray, how you would go about it?
I, you know, I know there's a lot of research. I just think it's based on how people were raised. Um, I think ultimately is how basically people were raised. I mean,
How you
we're
would
we're
ra-
kind of
how you
old, we're
would
kind of
how
older.
you
We're
would
older, so we're older now, right? We're older. Most of us are older. And so we grew up in a time where there was divisions between boys and girls, you know. So yeah, of course, while girls were playing with their dolls and boys were out exploring, we're going to give directions differently. I think in the world of technology now, in a world where the genders are closer together as far as capabilities and there's girls in the Boy Scouts, as you know. I think you're gonna find girls saying, "Hey, look, go 200 meters north, east. Make a left at this street," because they're
I
now
would
in
be
that
surprised if a
realm.
girl
They
would
were
be
not.
doing like that.
They're now in that realm. So I don't know if it's really. I think it was a social construct, and I think those constructs are now depleting because we live in a different world. But going back to the country, my fondest memory of my grandmother was every time we went to the country, which was Danville, Virginia, Farmville. She could find her house, no street signs, no road. She could tell by the tree. It was a certain tree, and you turned at the certain
Right.
tree. And that's one of my fondest memories of my grandmother.
Right, right. Yeah, Dr. Mahasan, she mentioned about the relationshiping with like when you are doing the spatial thinking, guiding someone to your house or you are going to a friend's house. So making a relationship based on the kind of thing is more kind of meaningful to them, like rather than like a spatial thinking whenever you go like 200 meters, go right, go left or eastwards. Sajid, how you would think, how you would guide someone to your house?
Yes, like traveling this road and this road, and then going to east, to
All
kind
right.
of special. But
Spatial, all right.
yes, but relational is more meaningful,
Yeah, okay.
like women do.
All right. So what
All right, guys,
else?
prime,
The
I
I'm
questions
think we
sorry,
should.
regarding,
Yeah.
prime example of like making relationships to places, like people that live here when they
yeah,
don't live here anymore. I still call that house the
yes,
person
yes,
that I associate that house
yes,
with. Oh,
yes,
it's the park right across the street from the Holloway
yeah,
house. I'm like, who's the
yes.
Holloway? Where's the Holloway house? They like
But
looking
that
for
is
a
the
sign.
landmark in
I'm
your
like,
mind.
no, Anne Holloway used to live there, so that's the Holloway house. And
Yeah.
it's been like that for 17 years, and they've been gone for about
All right.
12 of those now, but it's still the Holloway house. Every time I pass, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
even
I'm going past
because
the Holloway
and
house or past this
and
house.
if you lose that landmark, you will be totally lost.
Yep. And then, like, well, where I live, I used to live on Yasmin Street. Yasmin lived on Yasmin Street. So I was like, yeah, you just don't go down my street.
If you pull that tree out or that pole or that thing out, you would be completely lost because you will be finding that pole or tree or house.
And people say, well, who do they live by? Oh, they live by the Osas. Oh, I know where that is.
Well, isn't that happening in Riyadh now with all this construction in Riyadh? The streets look different.
Mm.
The streets look different. Hey guys, I think we need to wrap it up. It's
Yeah,
1 hour.
that's what I was going to say. That what is that? If there is any other question you want to talk about the book, for so far we have read. Any other point in this one?
They were talking about American president. What is common between them? Uh, they are good read, and they
What
are
about
always open to new ideas. Means they are
Yeah,
flexible.
he's talking about like what is the common between all the presidents. You remember he talked about that the other presidents and whatever the past presidents, what's the common between them, how much authoritarian they were, how much critical or how much critique they were doing, and how much they were open to new ideas or rethinking. and some of them were, or some of them were not. Yeah.
What year was this book written in? What year?
Like the BlackBerry guy can make a comeback right now with the
Yeah, that's what
apples.
yeah.
When
And I
apples
had
so
to
expensive.
And I had to
Yeah, but
laugh at that when he was talking about the BlackBerry because that was my second, or was that my first? That was my first ever phone because my sister was overseas, and that was how we were able to talk to each other for free. So when I saw that, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I had to think, yeah, whatever. Blackberries used to be all the rage, and they just fell, they just went away. And
well,
so when he was
there
talking
there
about
was
change,
there were a couple of other phones. Nokia was there with a similar
Yeah,
kind of thing, but not that kind of popular.
but
But
not the BlackBerry
before that,
brand.
yeah, I had one phone like that one and could check my emails, and even it had small Office in it, which means Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. Anyway, what I mean,
This book was published in
smart.
2021.
2020. Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was like when I read that part about the BlackBerry, that because Mahansa had a BlackBerry, because she was the
Mhm.
only at that time only family member that was in another country. So it was like when she was like, get a phone. When I was looking for a phone, I'm a Gen Xer,
Everybody had
so
everybody had
everybody had a
BlackBerry,
BlackBerry.
Tamara.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't.
You were
I
just
was
younger.
Half of
yeah.
the world
Of
was
Younger.
having.
I did. I was the only person that I knew that outside of
All right.
her that had a BlackBerry. So that was
Yeah.
definitely an
Okay.
interesting read.
Okay.
You was doing it. You was doing all right if you had a BlackBerry back
Yes, I had a track phone.
then.
Or when most people had
So
a BlackBerry, I was still carrying a pager.
I
yeah,
might have had my flip
there was a
phone.
pager time. Yes, there was a pager time, and like you will get the short messages where this
Mm-hmm.
thing comes up as SMS, short,
Yep. It
what you
was
call it, that.
codes.
BlackBerry was
Yeah.
my BlackBerry was, oh man, BlackBerry was amazing. But I mean, he makes an excellent point with that. The bigger one, I think, even beyond BlackBerry, is Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Blockbuster should be Netflix, right? Blockbuster, if Blockbuster would have rethought what their business model, they would be bigger than Netflix. Netflix wouldn't even have a chance.
Blockbuster was Netflix.
Well,
Yeah.
Netflix probably wouldn't have existed if they changed their thinking, and I think that's what one of the things that I did in the beginning of the book that I do find interesting. And I was watching, and it was funny because I also somebody did a TikTok on that, and we're seeing about how all of the businesses that have failed, like Blockbuster, and then Netflix came in and swooped in. But had Blockbuster changed certain things, maybe Netflix would have never evolved. Maybe Blockbuster would have been
Yeah,
it.
Netflix gave up the mail because remember they used to come in the
Yeah, the
mail.
Netflix changed, right? Because that was the beginning of Netflix when you used to get
The
DVDs in the
floppy
mail.
disk. Yep.
So,
Or like Columbia with the music, the cassette tapes.
yeah,
You could get cassette tapes in the
yes.
mail, but now
I think I still
you
owe
can
those people
stream.
money.
Well, you
I
mean you mean 12
think I still
CDs for
owe,
2 pennies? 12
Yes,
CDs for 2 pennies?
yes.
I think I still owe them
And
money.
then they
If you
had like
Honestly.
return them,
then
only if
there
you
were book
return
clubs
them.
like that too. You could order like 12 books for a penny, and
Yeah.
then you just renew your prescription every month. And now that's the new Audible and the new Kindle.
Yeah.
It's just all digital now.
All digital
All
now.
right. So next time we are going to read until the end of the what you call it, the section two
Section
or what?
two.
Yeah,
Section two.
I don't know. I just know I'm on my pages.
part
My pages
part
are
two, end of.
different. I did get the book, y'all. Look, I'm so happy. I got the
So
big print too. I couldn't show y'all before. I can
oh,
show
okay,
you now. It's the
wow,
big print.
great.
It's
So
like the word so big I could read without my glasses.
okay,
You know how much fun that is to read a book without your glasses? Oh my
and
Yep.
God.
especially sitting in a park, probably.
Sitting in a park, sitting in a car, sitting on a bed, wherever.
Okay. So what I was saying, so end of part two, I think
Keep
it's
it in a
page
bag.
154. Okay, page 54, end of part two. We are going to finish
Oh,
by
54.
154, probably in
Oh,
our
154.
book.
Yeah, that
But
sounds
check
better.
your book. You can put
Yeah,
a
154 sound better.
bookmark.
Okay.
Does it
Yeah, sounds
relate to
good.
page 154?
Sounds good. I'm on one page. I'm on 112.
So 154 is end of pay, section 2, or what you
In the
call that
chapter
one?
7.
Part,
Yeah, I was gonna
end
say I
of,
don't know what chapter it is, but I just
yeah, it's chapter 7, part 2.
Okay.
So we'll read it till the end of chapter 7, part 2, interpersonal rethinking.
Okay, perfect.
All right. All right. Ray, you
Yes.
have to add, or anybody?
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay.
Yep. Anybody wants to add anything?
Auntie, I don't want. I gotta send you a link for my stuff. I want some coffee and some other stuff, but
Okay.
I hit
Send
you
me,
on the
send me,
sidebar.
we'll just, let's talk this weekend.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All
Ray,
right,
you
guys.
want to add anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
No,
All right.
good
Okay.
class. Good
Okay.
session.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys.
Good night, everybody. Have a good week
See you next week.
and a
We'll
good
see you
weekend.
next Tuesday.
Okay.
Good night.